The Dependency Podcast is brought to you by Total Rat NES. Shop your Goofy Foot Controller TWO merch and CTWC approved hardware on TotalRatNES.com. Welcome to the Peace Dependency Podcast. I'm your host Frank, also known as Sir Mazer. This month is a little bit different than any other month. I had a guest who couldn't record with me this month, so last minute I asked pumpyheart to join me on the podcast for this month, and we did a no prep interview. So that means that both pumpyheart and I had no idea what we're gonna talk about. So that is the treatment that I'll give to you. You will have no clue what we're going to talk about, and you just go along with the ride. Also, I'm very sorry for my audio. The recording of my mic went a little bit wrong, so I sound a little bit different than I usually do. My apologies to it. I hope you enjoy this conversation. This is our conversation.
Pumpyheart, welcome back to the Peace Dependency Podcast. Thanks so much for doing this, especially last minute.
Happy to be here. I mean, you posted the idea to me, and I said, you know what? Why not? Why don't we do another PDP with me on it? This time, hopefully, I'm a little off the hot seat. Last time you were grilling me. Maybe I'm a little. Maybe I can take this one a little easier. I don't know.
I mean, we don't have anything prepared, so maybe you can put me on the hot seat. I don't know, but I have something to get off my chest because people are expecting to shoot and. I am going to shoot because I am hereby officially declaring that I am going to retire as a NTSC and PAL online player.
Oh, Frank. Oh, well, I mean, when you know, right?
Yeah.
It's the first time I'm hearing of it. Legitimately, this is not faked in post.
No.
Yeah, well, it's something I struggle with. Maybe I mean, like, what was going through your head there? What are some of the things that you've been thinking about recently?
I'm
putting you on the hot seat now. Right?
I haven't played any NES Tetris in 2023, and we're like 3 months in right now, 3.5 months in. And so I haven't played any NES Tetris. I haven't played NES Tetris since the NTSC Benelux Cup, which is in... No, that's not true. I played one friendlies match in December or something like that. I played against March, who could win or played his 300th friendly match. One of the two. But the last competition I played in was the NTSC Benelux Cup. And I was like, I don't care about this stuff, you know? I rather want to restream or organizing things or whatever, but I just don't want to play. I'm not a good player. I don't care to train or grind sessions or whatever, you know?
No, I definitely, I mean, I get it because you're a better player than me, and I like, why can I just throw in the towel, and like,
yeah.
Because I think that what you do for the community, right, hosting the podcast, having your own organization of players with the Benelux, I think that like, and the ELOs, the ELO Clash, and even if the ELO Clash is like somewhere more or less there, the CTL super streams that you do, I mean, like, you're contributing a lot to the community, and I think that the community is so big now that I think that at one point in time, everybody was a player in the community, right? Like, you played or you weren't really involved, and now I think that the community is large enough that you can take a well-deserved retirement, from playing.
So I just, if I go to live events, I will play these. Or the live events, but maybe special attraction matches. I have one match. Right. No, by the time this recording airs, I played my final match because I asked El Python if he wants to be my last opponent.
How about that? Is it going to be Roller Pelton? Because you'll probably win that.
It's good.
Oh, wait, we're recording now. Oh, shoot.
I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be a roll part, but we're gonna play. We're gonna play 15 all the way, and we're aiming for friendlies. Because I have a losing streak of 11, so I either be a loser forever or finally be a winner. And what better way to end the playing career against Alpine? The Dutch Tetris
Benelux
derby,
rival. Yeah.
the original Dutch Tetris derby.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I was his first opponent back in 2020.
Wow.
When
That's
classic
crazy.
classic Tetris Entertainment was a thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
That's long ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pick up and play shows. So wow, how about that? You develop and then Benelux, and I don't know, it's a fitting way to end. I kind of view it. I barely play the game, but when every now and then there's like a special event, like you said, like those in-person tournaments.
Yeah.
The if there's a invite sort of thing going on where they like someone reaches out, we'd like you to be involved. It's like okay, sure. Right?
Maybe but I don't want to sign up for TMP or
nope,
CTM or whatever. If they want to have me a match online, fine, I'll probably play it, but not for ELO, not on my own. You have to come to me if you want a match, like a special match.
Exactly. Nope.
Not
I get that. And then you're still around restreaming and you'll be doing a podcast. Like, yeah, I'm like, you're not going away. It's just like you're transforming. So no, I respect it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm the official host of the CTL openings day. So new tradition.
Well, you kind of can't go anywhere. Kingman won't let you go anywhere.
Exactly. So. Big news since last time that you were on the podcast, and that is you are now the owner of CTP. So now you should know how you win a Classic Tetris Pal match.
Oh, how do you win a Classic Tetris Pal match?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
still haven't won a Classic Tetris Pal match, I don't think. I've gotten PBs and qualifiers again since competing there, right? So it's exciting to get your first ever PB. Now those PBs were like 200k to 300k to 380 to 400, and like that's kind of exciting to see again. But no, how to win? I haven't really figured that out yet. It's been really fortunate to work with everyone at CTP. There was definitely a bit of fatigue going on. It was a monthly tournament, Classic Tetris Pal.
Yeah.
Monthly Pal tournament, and try as you want, there was just a lot of comparisons to CTM, right? Because CTM is the NTSC version of a monthly tournament. Everybody submits a qualifier, everyone gets to play.
Yeah.
CTP was basically the same thing, right? Once a month. And so I got when the ownership was transferred to me, I waited a little bit, make sure everything was calm and steady, and then started reaching out to sort of the major players in the PAL scene. Folks who either organize their own tournaments, folks who are major players, folks who were volunteering for the CTP in the past, and sort of saw what maybe some of what was working and some what wasn't working. Because there was definitely some fatigue going on with that sort of monthly grind, month after month, right? I mean, it's... there's always another tournament. You wrap a tournament, you got to do it again, right?
Yeah. And there was always a struggle.
There's not much turnaround time either, right?
Yeah.
So you got to sort all that out.
There was always a struggle of getting 16 players for Tier 1.
Mm-hmm.
Or rarely have enough players for Tier 2.
Right, and it was I mean, not to be dire, but I mean, it was kind of dying, right? People didn't want to play each month, right? And so now you have people with 300k, 400k PBs competing against the very, very best of how in the round one, which is not a recipe for success. So the first tournament that we organized when we got back, beyond, I mean, just shattered expectations. We did. We had 3 tiers, 3 full tiers. Right? One tier 1, top of the top. Rollers coming back in. We had a prize pool for the first time. It worked really well, and we did a lot of partnerships with CTM, which just, I think since the last time we spoke, I'm a little bit more involved with CTM too. I don't remember exactly when all that lined up. When did we speak last? When was that?
November 2021? think
Right.
you were.
Yeah, so since
Yeah,
then I'm like an admin for CTM and doing a lot over there too. Because I think then I was uploading on YouTube a little bit, but I
yeah.
wasn't quite like organizing and making the brackets each month and pinging everyone to make sure matches were going on time and scheduling as much.
No, Fanny was more hands-on
Yeah.
back then, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's right. And then his work was starting to get a little bit more taxing, so he needed some help and reached out to me. And because I was doing the YouTube uploads already, so maybe that's another thing we can talk about. But because of that partnership, it was very easy to work with CTP and like, okay, we already have a bracket structure where we already have restreamers
Yeah.
who can work for some of that, and who again restreamers kept this tournament alive. Without them, like, sorry, you don't have a thriving scene if you don't have restreamers. And then we also had the website that kept all the everything that was being reported on Discord and then updated in a spreadsheet and then posted again, like gone.
Yeah.
Website that CTM has made with the help of primarily Dex4, but also Fireworks, who's worked a lot on the UI to make sure that's accessible and visible and viewable. We kind of have two websites now at CTM. We have a tournament website and we have a front-facing website. The front-facing website's the pretty one, and the tournament website
It's
gets
the
the
ugly
tournament
one.
done. Exactly.
But
Exactly. Goes across the finish line.
can
That's
you
the goal there.
yeah, but can you imagine CTP, CTM in a partnership? I mean, some things just 3 years
Yeah,
3 years
right. I
ago you
mean, go ahead.
yeah 3 years ago you would never imagine it.
No. And I'm acutely aware of some of that. I mean, I was there in 2018 and 2019, uh, in CTMs and stuff. So I kind of knew there was some animosity, like PAL is better, NTSC is better, like whatever, like I think but now it's grown so much that it's like, people just specialize, right? We have a whole no rotation area. I don't know if you've interviewed anyone who's in no row super
No.
heavy yet. Maybe next season.
Next season, yeah.
Right, that's like a super specialized mode, and it doesn't matter which version of the game it is, because no row starts on level 0 for most of its categories. So, like, it's such a specialized thing that now there's just so many different ways you can go in the community that I think it's just not really much of a... The egos have cooled, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, this one's better, no, this one's better. They're just different, right? And I think that's been appreciated.
I also think leadership has changed, or in both CTM and CTP. Not really that Vandy left, but Vandy got more people around him, so maybe the attitude changed a little bit. CTP really changed leadership, so and I think the most people of CTP weren't bad against CTM or against NTSC, for example, but there were some bad apples. Right now, and what I think is that most NTSC players never play Paul, so maybe don't understand Paul to a certain point. But now with Fractal Speed Hack, even NTSC players can play Paul without owning a Paul console or Paul setup.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And yeah, definitely CTM has grown a lot. I think we're up to 50 people that we think each month, and that's qual checkers, super streamers, moderators, folks behind the scenes who are working on the social media, who are working on TikToks and Instagram posts, and folks who are working on graphics, folks who are working on websites and bots. It's a huge team, so that helps. But I'm not gonna pretend like the elephant in there. If I'm running CTP and I'm helping run CTM and like CFO, Chief Financial Officer or something, we joke around what my title is because I don't really have a title at CTM.
I always call you Vice President of CTM.
Vice President. All right, we'll take that one for today. So if I'm Vice President, it makes it very easy to partner with, like, if I'm serving of CTP, because like there's no admin headache there. But that being said, I think that, definitely the player base has changed just because you have the speed hack that Fractal has wonderfully made, making it possible. But also, you have the sort of hardware and technology divides that were happening, right? Like playing PAL playing NTSC and PAL regions was a challenge for a while, and then playing NTSC or playing PAL and NTSC regions was a challenge. And that's breaking down, right? The Retron HD, being able to switch a switch. People are acutely aware of what kind of TVs will accept a PAL 50 and an NTSC 60. And of course, with the speed hack, you can run PAL 50 on a NTSC 60 display. So there's and the Tetris Gem cart has built-in PAL and NTSC functionality, right? So or Tetris Gem, not maybe the cart, but the ROM, patch ROM, whatever you want to call it, has that capability to go back and forth between the modes. So I mean, like, there's been a lot of movement on the hardware side, and I don't want to like shun those folks for all the contributions that they've made. That now, like in Europe, if you have a classic Tetris player, they probably play a lot of NTSC, right? And where that was not the case 3-4 years ago. So I think that helped a lot as well.
The NTSC leaderboard in the Benelux is high. It has more people than the PAL leaderboard, while we are a PAL country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not. Let me quickly check how many people we have currently on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean that's a little shocking, but not as shocking if you told me that in 2019 or 2018 or something, right? In 2019, that would have blown my mind, but now I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, because you have a lot of CTWC affiliated organizations in Europe who run the NTSC version, right?
Yeah.
So CTWC Austria, CTWC UK, CTWC Benelux.
No, we're not CTWC affiliated.
We're not CTWC affiliated.
No.
Yeah.
It's
so yeah, like so CTWC. What's CTWC Poland? CTG is Contact such as Germany is working with CTWC as well, but not Benelux. Yeah,
no, we're CT. We are CTBNL.
CTBNL.
Yeah, I just don't want the CTWC name within the region.
It's already an amalgamation. Benelux, right?
Benelux. Classic Benelux. CTWC Benelux.
Doesn't really flow.
No. No.
We have in the region that I'm in Louisiana, and the specific region of Louisiana I'm in is either called the 4-state region, which is not very good because no one calls it that. But it's oh man. You have to cut this out. No. It's Arclatex, right? I always like try to come up with a cooler one. Arctexla is better, I think, but it's Arclatex. Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, and you put those together. But like putting another thing in front of that is
I mean,
so I get it.
I mean, I would be.
But I think that like just even those immersions, the major regional tournaments are based on NTSC, right? And CTWC DAS NTSC, right?
Yeah.
Like there's just such a amount of push.
The DAS World Cup.
Towards that version. DAS World Cup, yep.
Yeah. I made that video last year on the Pizza Pennies channel. They never gave me a name what the event was going to be called. So I called it the DAS World Championship, and then a day later they announced the DAS World Cup, and I'm like, I made the whole video speaking about the DAS World Championship, and now you're telling me that it's the DAS World Cup. I'm like, bro.
You have to go in and cut the word championship and put
no, because
every single time.
I was supposed that the video was supposed to be going out on the same day that they announced that the DAS World Cup was somewhere in August. So I had to make that video based on limited information by Mark, and not even having a name.
Right.
So Mark pitched to me like it's a world championship, but only for DAS. So I'm like, yeah, so it's going to be the DAS World Championship or whatever I called it. But no, the DAS World Cup. I mean, it sounds better, less confusion with the classic Tetris World Championship, but
I suppose. I mean, names are a fickle thing, right? I think that people, that's something that we take pride in. I don't care as much about my first name, but when someone says Dr. Wilson to me, oh no, doxed, whatever. Someone says Dr. Wilson to me, I'm like, oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Hi. All right. So names matter, and we put value in those. My online username, pumpyheart, and someone says, Pumpy, and it's like, oh my gosh, right? You recognize me, right? Sir Mazer, Frank,
yeah.
You get recognized for your name. So I understand that, people are very particular about how things are named. I care a little bit, but also I think I just ran CTP, Classic Tetris PAL DAS Winter 23 Tier 1 Finals today. That's a pretty. I don't even. I just started calling it CTP DAS and naming it like that. And if we do another one, then CTP DAS 2.
I think that's better. Yeah, CTP DAS.
I don't know. It's still not great, but it is what it is. I was touring with that, but
Are you
games are fun.
Are you the CTP tournaments are for a year, right? 4 tournaments a year.
At the moment, yes. I'm down to experiment. I gotta. So I'll just let everybody know, and you know this, but at the time of recording, I just finished streaming the Classic Tetris PAL DAS finals earlier today. So I like to take a little bit of step back. I haven't really processed that, how did it go, what went well, what can we improve. So I'd like to take a week or so and look back at it.
Yeah.
And see sort of where the scene is, see if the engagement was good, look at the stats, see what we can improve upon. So I don't know. Right now it's once every 3 months. There's been some talks about once every other month. There's not been much serious talk about once a month again. The desire is just not quite there. But I think it's healthy to be having those conversations.
Oh, yeah.
We have this amount of players, and that's great. Do we need to have a monthly tournament to keep them around, and will that burn them out, or is it something more special if it's offered less often, right?
I think so. Mm-hmm. Especially with
PAL. We're gearing up now, especially with PAL, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're gearing up now for Mega Masters, right? And that's a championship level event. Offered once a year, and people are coming out of the woodworks to qualify for it because it's special, right?
Online World Championship, huh?
Yeah, something like that, right? It's 64 players, But the catch is, I kind of want to hold to the fact that we do it all in a month. That's kind of CTM's monthly Tetris. We got to keep that intact in some way. 64 plus players, I guess I should say.
Yeah, no max out left behind.
No max out left behind.
But is it average max out, or just if you score a max out, you're in Mega Masters?
For this year, just one.
Okay.
I mean, no promises for the future. I don't even make promises about whether no max out left behind is coming back. I don't know. But for right now, one max out in 90 minutes, AO3. As long as you don't smurf the other two scores, right? Submit the representative. You tried your best in qualifiers. One max out in your is so you don't even have to average a max out. Right? No. You don't need 3 max outs or 2 max outs and then 1 off or something to get in. So
the lucky players who sometimes get a max out and have a good run, they can be Mega Masters.
Exactly, and I mean even the clutch players. Hepps has been switching to rolling over the last few months. Stopped playing. Hepps is a UK player. I think was in the semis last TUK. It's been a while, a little foggy on that. But definitely an active player before they started transitioning. They were a high DAS player, right? Known for dedicating to that.
Best DAS player.
Right.
Yeah.
And then going from that to rolling, it takes time, and grinding that behind the scenes, it takes more time to learn. I'm sorry that I love all of our DAS players out there. It takes longer to learn rolling than it does to become a DAS expert. It just does. The amount of times that you have to be, the sensitivity, the comfort that you have to get with your controller, the comfort that you have to be with the pressure on both, on not just your thumb, but in all the fingers. It's way more challenging than DAS is. And, so for him to say, all right, I want to be at the top, I got to switch to that. He qualified for Mega Masters earlier this week. Sort of suffering throughout most of it. Got a 1-off in the next to last game. No max outs before then. It was rough. Maybe it was a 1-off. Maybe it was a 2-off even.
Oh, yeah.
Last game, clutched it up. Got the max. Hepps is going to be playing in Mega Masters.
Classic
and so
Hepps.
That's classic. Clutched it up. That's the kind of stuff that I wanted to bring back, for sure.
I mean, same thing happened during 2021 CTWC Qual with Hepps.
Yep.
Last 2 games.
I think last 2 games were max outs, right? In 2 hours. So 90 minutes average of 3, and Hepps gets it done in the last bit there. So.
I think if you say to Hepps that he only has 3 games to max out.
You think it'll be the last one? The last
Probably.
one.
Yeah, probably. But with CTP now, four tournaments a year, are you trying to do something different for each tournament? Like now we had CTP DAS, but next time we'll see, I don't know, something else?
Yeah, I mean, probably. I don't know for sure. I mean, I think when you have time in between tournaments, you probably want to spice it up and make it a little different, improve upon it.
Yeah.
Whether those are large changes, like for example, the first one, we kept the same exact rule set as before. Just let's see if there's enough people who want to qualify and play in this thing, right? And we got all the way up to tier 3, a pretty full tier 3. I think it was 16 in tier 2, 15 in tier 3. Right, that's almost tier 4
pretty
level,
full,
right?
Yeah.
It was pretty full. So, but when I was given the server owner, and after some time, and it was like, well, let me gather everybody, who I think is influential in the PAL scene. Sorry if you weren't invited, but I mean, it's no biggie. It's not personal. It's just business.
It's
right?
business.
So,
yeah.
Gathered everybody who I thought had some vested interest, and said, all right, do we want to do CTP? And most answered yes. Some answered no. It did. Most answered yes, and I said, okay, so what does that look like? And what we wanted was a big tournament to show that there was still investment, that there was still engagement. And the other thing that was requested, aside from prize pools, which was a big thing we added for both of them, but the other thing requested was a DAS tournament, right?
Yeah.
And there's even some talks about, like, should DAS be the only way to play PAL, right? Because we have rolling in other versions, we have tapping. I don't know if I buy those arguments, but I do think that there's, like, at least some merit there. The DAS is different on PAL than NTSC, so we have DAS only NTSC tournaments, and we could have DAS only PAL tournaments, right? So,
anything is possible
so up to
except
this point,
DAS.
we had a little bit. Sorry, go ahead.
Anything is possible except for DAS. One tournament, so you can tap and roll, but not playing DAS.
Right, there we go. Anything but DAS. That'd be great. So we had the DAS tournament, and DAS tournament. Well, okay, so we had the first tournament, and not gonna lie, for me as a commentator, but also as a viewer, as a spectator, the matches were a little long with rolling. The 19 infinite kill screen with PAL, you go into all the 50 hertz, 60 hertz, differences, and why the designers made the decision that they made. But it basically, we did no line cap, keep the exact same tournament, and the rollers did what the rollers do, right? They can line out for forever, because this is back when SV got colors for the first time, SV Netris. Got almost colors and choked it, then went back and got colors. And so, I mean, it was a good time. It was a good time. We got a lot of interest. We got a lot of engagement, but it was like, okay, this is not sustainable for the long haul. But then the next tournament was DAS. It was like, all right, well, DAS, you can play on 19 for forever. I think the longest we had in the tournament run was like 26 or 27, the whole tournament that just completed. I could be wrong. I may have missed something. But for a DAS player to get that far is very impressive, right? And more power to him. It's very hard to do. It's like you have a little bit more time, but it's the DAS limits on NTSC 29, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's very, very tough. Incredibly tough to do. You just have a little bit more of a window to execute. So I think that there's still a little bit of a place for DAS and PAL. For sure, but I do wonder, is it time to, like, now do a 29 cap tournament, right? Does that seem like we're kind of right? I can tell you're thinking about it. You're like, maybe, right? And not just because we want to screw over the rollers or whatever, but it's just keeping people engaged. Brings back a little bit of that feels good, and I think it's one of those that it's. As players improve, you have to improve as an organizer and change the tournament. So
I think
I don't know.
Double kill screen, on NTSC 39 is a great improvement for the game. I think a line cap or double kill screen on PAL on 29 is a great improvement for the game, because one thing is you keep the matches relatively short. So you won't get marathon matches. So I can't remember from the top of my head what Eric and Fractal reached during that 2 million game during the finals. Which level? But I think
I lost track.
I think they surpassed 39. But
Yes.
yeah. So you keep the matches relatively short, and a big reason for me that double kill screen is important. I am outspoken. I am outspoken against players that are mullying the game out. So I think it keeps the flow out of the game. It's a little bit disrespectful to their opponent. So it keeps mulling to a minimum. You know. So
Yeah.
I always get a lot of shit for this, but I always cut off players that are mulling when I switch between games or matches. So I always go to
Yeah.
my pre-roll scene and all that. So I can always crap for that that I switch them up. But I'm like, honestly, I don't care about the mullening. You know, I'm here for the match, not for your personal achievements. You have a lot of grind sessions that you can do to reach those personal achievements, but this is a match, and you have more people that are waiting to play the match, and they have other obligations or whatever. So, yeah, I'm just going to continue with the show.
No, I get that. I think that I am mostly on board with you. I think it obviously when you're streaming lower tier players who are just starting off and they're on PB pace, it's like, okay, well, you're gonna early top out the next game if you PB. So, and that's what I would do, by the way. There's not any dig at anybody. So it's like, all right, well, you're grinding for 600k and you're about to transition with 550. Let's see you do it, right? But I have a 1.2 or 1.3 and I need to get a max out here, and it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. I'm with you for most of it. It's like, all right, well, there's the max out. All right, yeah, and you topped out on 29. All right, yeah.
In my playing career, I always topped out. Whenever I was on PB pace, I always topped out because I'm playing a match. I'm sorry, I'm playing a match. I'm not playing for myself. So I just want to continue with the match and keep the flow that I have with the match, rather than being obsessed with a new PB or a new line PB or whatever, and you don't get it, and then you get you get angry with yourself whenever you're not getting it.
Sure. Yeah. And it means like doubly more when you get a PB in a match that it actually matters, right? Like you needed the PB to win, or you like there was the stream delay, you kept playing and you got the PB, right, or something, right? Just means more. So, I'm kind of with you on that. With everything online now, and just being respectful with people's time when time is such a valuable resource. Again, right?
Yeah. But I think and the knowledge that we now have for the game to implement double kill screen, something that we hoped for 3 years ago, but then again,
right.
the scene changed so much the last 3 years.
It absolutely did.
They're playing 4 white Tetris right now, checkerboard Tetris. B-Type 6, B-Type 7. I'm like, what is the limit of the game?
Right. I think we're getting close to it. I think that maybe that's with the super kill screen, and I don't know. All right. So here's my thought. Right. We have competition on one hand. You're kind of talking about this. You have competition on one hand. You have PBs on the other. Right.
Yeah.
You have PB. There's world records and competition that I think should be that should be the target, right? So like 39, highest 39 double kill screen score, right? Like I think that's a valuable thing to go for, assuming it's not Mullen, right? And all that sort of stuff we just talked about. But on the other side, you have like your own personal best, right? And so for the personal best, if you want to go for colors, right? Go for colors, right? I would love to watch you grind it out for 50 days or however much. If you want to go for colors, great. If you want to go for game crash, go for it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's amazingly interesting and definitely showcases sort of the limits of the game. But I think a lot of our community is invested in the competitive side, right?
Yeah.
Like the efficiency game records that maybe exist in both, but definitely, like it's something that I think that a lot of players are looking at when it comes to extended kill screen play, right? Like how many points can I score? How many Tetrises on 29? And that's not required when you're going for colors or going for game crash, and
No.
it's not that it's not as interesting, it's just something different, right? And I think that if you're going for game crash, don't set up Tetris. That's pretty weird.
No,
It doesn't save you any time,
strats.
and you're gonna min out strat. So do that instead, and it's very like you get a very sort of ASMR like of the blocks clearing. You just turn it on in the background and like clean your room or something,
Yeah.
So I'm there for it. I support that, but I think in competition, like you were saying, it's just different. You set the two apart.
Yeah. Definitely.
And players care about competition, and there's players who care about PBs and world records. And
yeah.
I think those are both valid. So.
Yeah. But if two players get to 39, I'm rooting for them to go as long as possible,
Mm-hmm.
But if one tops out and the other one wins, just top out. There's no...
Yeah.
You won't get any achievement by mulling it out, Or go to kill
right.
sprint or
I think
whatever.
the combined score world record is still Eric and Huff's game, right? Where Eric did the colors. Right? It's like, well, what does that mean? I think that's like combined score uncap, and it's clear like that was a monumental and very important game, not taking anything away from Eric. It was funny seeing Huff going to get chocolate milk and drinking it during that time. My favorite YouTube comment ever said somebody was watching that video and said I fell asleep and woke back up and the same game was still being played.
I mean,
so these things have to happen, right? I love that it happened in competition. The first NTSC colors, it was great. Everyone got to experience that. But that's happened once before, so now leave that moment in time. We don't need to see XYZ, happen.
I think
again, right?
I think everything should happen once to realize that we want this or we don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was cool to see Eric go into colors on NTSC, and if he didn't get it, someone else would got it, because the top players were grinding for colors, especially since Fractal got Paul colors. They knew that it was possible on NTSC. But it's cool that the first rollover happened on CTM, that the first colors happened on CTM Masters Play. But so that's if it's somewhere in competition, Masters is the place to do it, because it's by far the biggest online event or biggest tournament in the scene. But yeah, like I said, if you want to grind for colors, I would definitely watch you grind for colors with main out strats, but I go with a different meaning to your stream, knowing that you're grinding for colors, than if you're pace grinding.
Exactly. And it's one time, right? One time, we all watch it, we enjoy it. We go back, why is this VOD 5 hours long? And you're rewatching it on Twitch, or preferably rewatching it on YouTube, okay? And it's like, why is this, I think when I posted that video, I think it was like an hour and 20 minutes long, and people thought it was a world record progression kind of video. That it was going to be like a narrative of all the color attempts up to that point. It's like, nope, sorry, this is competition. And I think that's it's a good thing to start talking about. You mentioned it a little bit, but CTM being the place where that happens, but also just the fact that these skill gaps, that's the big thing that I noticed emerging in this scene, right? That like the players who are able to grind rolling and stick at it for hours a day, multiple days out of the month, are doing really incredible things. And the people who don't have that time or desire or mechanics or whatever, like, there's okay for those folks to compete as well in the same like broad structure. I think that like even though the skill graph is increasing and players are doing more and more at the high end, you're still welcome to come in at the low end, right? And I think that's a maybe sort of a vision shift that Tetris for the non-pros. I don't know how much you've talked about that on here, right? It's like we
Not as
encourage
much that
beginners
we
to come
should
in.
be.
Right.
Yeah.
That we encourage you to come in and start playing, and you can play a lot of matches. CTM, if you submit any qualifier, you can play that month,
Yeah.
right? CTP, much the same. And I think that, to find players who are going to grind to be at the very, very top, you still have to grow at the bottom, right? You have to get people
You have to start at the
involved when they have-
bottom.
Right. And I think that the skill gap, as it continues, right, they keep going up, and so you're gonna have players that always come in at the bottom, right, and this keeps
Yeah.
going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. That gap is discouraging to some folks, and I don't really know what this solution is. There's certainly, I don't think it's a solution. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just something to be aware of, and something that always needs to be addressed. Is that if you get 100 people in, maybe one of them or two of them will be, desire to get up towards that top, right? So we need to keep bringing folks in.
Yeah. I restreamed the playoff match between Opax and NDDK CTL 1-2 playoff match. And I was in a division with NDDK two and a half years ago, Division 7. So NDDK just grew to a point that he could potentially qualify for CTL Division 1. Had to defeat Opax, and Opax was a top player or close to top player when I played Division 1. So it's so cool to see players that you played against during the lower tiers of Classic Tetris, and that they grew to, Division 2 at CTL. It's no joke to compete there.
Yeah, no, and I've met NDDK too, and it's it's a kid with time on their hands, and they've grinded the game, and it's important to them, and they went to CTWC, they went to regional calls that they can make it out to. It's so it's important to them, and they're putting the effort in, and it's good to see that grind. I think that maybe one place to look, the olive branch that came from Enhance, the Tetris Effect connected, the classic score attack, that is pretty identical to NES RNG mechanics. I think it's like as well as it can be. Controller options. I think a lot of people played that version, right? And they maybe played it once or twice, and said, "This sucks." The RNG is terrible. The pieces lock immediately. I topped out on level 3 with 2,000 or 4,000 points or whatever. I'm never playing this version again, right? And I think that we've, as a community, all right, so maybe like the 2,000 players never really have there's never been that many players, right? You go to like
what is the current active
Ben
players?
Premier is like
500?
the one person who comes in with like a 60k PB or something, and it's now almost a max out player. I think it's like a 900k. There's one example I can think of.
Probably we're getting owned by Ben.
Oh yeah. Well, Ben came in as a laughing stock, and like wanted to be a laughing stock too. Like was in on the memes and everything.
Oh, obviously.
And then I'm terrible. Oh, okay. Oh, funny guy. Yeah. So like, I think that part of it is that like, all right, people are playing this classic score attack on tech, and they're playing and they're like, this sucks. I'm never playing it again. Fine, right? You can't do much about that, right? It's good that they're getting exposure to the game. Maybe they're fans of the game. They played it and they're like, I'm never going to be able to be playing this, right? So that's all you can do. But I think like reaching out, and there's probably some players out there who are playing Tech CSA who are like 100k players, right? If we could get some sort of flow going in there, that like, okay, well maybe you don't want to be a part of more of the classic scene and buy the console and the hardware. But maybe we can find some ways to open up a little bit to folks. Because I think that there's going to be folks who just know. Like, you started this podcast. You're like, I know I'm not going to be the top, right? And so that's going to happen. I am the same, right? It's like, I don't know, no desire to grind for a max out. Like,
exactly.
Maybe. But, like, probably not.
If it's happened,
I'm saying maybe. With some air quotes on it.
But I honestly just don't care.
Yep.
I honestly just don't care if I get a max out, yes or no. I'm just happy to be in the community. I know a little bit about myself gaming wise. I will never be the best at something gaming wise, but I love just to
Yep.
game casually. And
Mm-hmm.
the community just wants. When I started the podcast, it was the right time to start a podcast, and it's still pretty much the only podcast about classic Tetris because we had the Tetris Gal Talk that had 8 or 9 episodes. That's on a hiatus. We had Tugi with 2 CTM
Mm-hmm.
community episodes, which
Chronicles,
were
right? Mm-hmm.
Chronicles, which were really great. But there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing more on that, so it's
Yeah.
definitely something that I feel it's missed or still missing.
I agree. I think having these conversations, I kind of told you this beforehand, but like even just having these conversations in general is important, but like putting them in a podcast form where there's interviews and questions, right? And you get to know more about people. I think even this conversation, you're getting to know about like how you and I sort of see the scene and what we're thinking about, right?
Yeah.
And sort of the visions there. So I think that like having those recorded is important, and it's tough to do on a consistent basis, right? I'm sure you have had some struggles. I don't know.
Even if it's not really the interview part, it's the editing part. I just
Right.
always look to like it, but it's necessary, you know.
Right. And I mean, kudos to you. I mean, you've been doing this mostly monthly with these once the season begins, right? So you kind of get the grind of a monthly tournament, right? You have to do it, right? Well, we're not gonna we take 1 month off a year, if at most, right? I don't think we've taken more than one off in quite some time. I think you have to go back to like 2019 or something.
I took 4 months off because of the birth of my son. And it made me realize,
Congratulations.
thank you. And it made me realize that I want to take two
I know
months
you
off
did a
every
lot
year.
there.
I did nothing.
Sorry, what did you say?
I did nothing there, Tetris wise, during those 4 months. I just got bored. I really was like, okay, I want to play Tetris. I want to restream. I want to make a podcast. I want to do something. But I wanted to make videos for the Peace Dependency channel. But even that, I had no motivation to do anything because I had no. Yeah, why should I do it? I had a 4 months break, so why should I do anything?
Well, and you get like a 2-month-old kid, and I don't know how old you're.
Yeah. Privately, it was a lot of stress and a lot of joy and all that, but it also had no energy to do anything.
Yeah. It's a lot. I'm not envious. All right. I mean, that's why I don't have any kids. Right. I know it's a lot. And I know I don't have the time to give to that at the moment. So I know that you were going through the birth process and everything, but also just, immediate afterwards and raising them, the, terrible twos and all sorts of things going on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, just taking a complete break is it. But then, like, on the flip side, once you've started this podcast, you're like, all right, we're here for season 3 now, and it's like, okay, well, every month I gotta interview somebody, gotta put something out. It's a grind.
Yeah,
it is.
It's definitely a grind, and it's always sometimes it's a struggle. Who do I want to interview? When do I want to interview them? Who are you putting where? Which month? Is there something special that month? Is that it's always a puzzle. So it's a fun puzzle, but it's always a puzzle. And sometimes you just get no response from someone, and you have to do stuff last minute.
Oh yeah. I wonder what that's like. I have no idea. And I think that's why I think more. I enjoyed Tetris Gal Talk. I was a big supporter. I was like, give me slides, let me promote this, and Community Chronicles. I think I'm still promoting with the couple of episodes out, but it is a grind. It is it just is, right? The first idea that you have, just getting to that execution stage is hard, right? You have an idea, let me get it to the execution. You do that, and then what do you have to do? You have to turn around and do it again, right? And turn around and do it again. And I think this goes back to the CTP, where it's like it takes a lot to do a monthly tournament. So I don't think the desire is there to turn it around. But also, you need time to have ideas to improve upon. How am I going to improve the podcast next time, right? Is it a piece of equipment? Is it a time of day that I said, I recorded this at 2 a.m. I'm not doing that again with my life? right? Whatever the adjustments is, right,
Yeah.
that you can improve from time to time, and I think that is it's challenging. It is challenging.
Oh yeah,
in a lot of ways, the
and
creative struggle. So
most improvements, it's something that you don't see on the show
Mhm.
itself. But right now I pretty much I use this episode as a task because I don't know, always sometimes a bit against cameras, because to me it's a podcast, it's audio, and most my original idea was that you play this during your commute to work or school or whatever. So there's no
Mhm.
reason for a video, and
Right.
and people, but maybe a bit naive from on my side, but Tetris players are using the podcast to to grind a Tetris session because it's 90 minutes long. Every episode is
Oh yeah.
give or take 90 minutes long. So
Yeah, that's a
they
good
put on
point.
an
I didn't think about
episode,
that.
grind for 90 minutes, and then they're done. But it's still, to me, it's not like it's something that you should have a video with. But now it's like, okay, yeah, I have to change things last minute. And so, okay, we can test this. If I like it, maybe we'll implement it to season 4. Just like every season, we get new music made by you. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Much appreciated.
Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
And
It was a
but
little tweak this last one. It wasn't too much, but had to get my
I
bass
mean,
out, and that was fun.
I love the bass sound. Oh my god, I'm just so fan
Oh
of
yeah.
it. Yeah, but
It was
it's
fun to do.
always those minor changes that I try to implement after every show, and always listen back to every show, which worked and which didn't work. So overall, the structure may be the same since day one, but behind the scenes, a lot of changed. A lot of change.
Hmm. No, and I think that's I mean you can kind of go back to those earlier episodes and kind of pick out oh I wish, and I know you have done it, right? You've been looking at some of those
Oh,
Insta clips, and I'm sure you're like, oh, if I had just phrased it in this way, or suggested this,
I but
or
I still have it.
tried a little harder to get a better mic from somebody, or vice versa, right?
But
That the recording on this one just didn't turn out right the
yeah,
way I thought it would. And you just learn things along the way. And if you stop the grind, you don't learn those things. So kudos to you.
I learned how to remove white noise from terrible mics of my guest.
Yep, you get some audio repair tips there.
Oh,
Noise
it's
removal.
some. Rory was the worst one. Rory was sitting outside that thing, so
Oh my god.
so the wind was blowing through the mic, so I had to use.
Oh, the wind. Oh, was he outside?
Yeah,
Like,
I
or was it
think
just like?
so. I don't know for sure, but it was.
Oh my. He might have just had a window open or something too. It's
I have
probably
no
not,
clue, but that
where
that
he is
one,
at. Yeah.
audio wise, that one was the worst.
That's unfortunate.
But a big shout out to Rory. It was a lovely interview, but I knew during the interview, I'm like, I'm screwed.
It's tough, right? And I'm sitting in a pretty you can tell there's some insulation around with all
Yeah.
the games in here, and I got some sound panels up in other places.
I'm
It's a
not.
pretty insulated room, so your audio should be fine. But
I'm
like,
I'm sitting in my
a little
daughter's
privileged
bedroom.
Oh, nice. Is she asleep?
Yeah, in my bed, in our bed. So
Oh, how about that?
this is pretty much my space for restreaming and podcast recording. So I have a small table at her bedroom that I can use for my laptop and all that, because it's the only place that I can sit a little bit quiet. So she knows that she can sleep in our bed until I'm done, and then she goes. Then I carry her to her own bed. So I'm recording season 3 in my daughter's bedroom. every episode until
There
we
you go.
get
Every episode.
until we get
You
a new
gotta go
house.
sleep somewhere else. Check
Yeah,
them out. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
but you
Yeah,
know,
and I also, like I kind of teach audio, so it's,
oh yeah,
it's probably important that my audio is okay. But
that's
what
cool.
it is. But
Some audio is not okay, and I think I always manage to get it okay-ish. So I know not everyone has a great mic, so it's that not a big big no for me if you don't have it. But
sure.
sometimes
You just work with what you can. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Have you thought? So you did one episode on the road, I believe. You
Two.
interviewed 2 episodes on the road. All right. So I remember one. You did CTG on the road.
Yeah,
Was
and it is
Sidnev the
Sidnev on
other
the road.
one?
Yeah, but the
Sidnev was on the road as well. That's right.
the camera was so bad, like so bad, that I said to Sidnev, "I'm sorry, but I'm not going to use it." But that one was on the road. Yeah.
How about that? Okay. Well, is that something you want to keep doing? Is that go on the road and
Maybe once a season to go on the
Mhm.
road, but I don't want to travel too long. I think a 3 hour drive is my max. So you get to Antwerp in Belgium, Western Germany, sorry.
Mhm.
So it's pretty limited. I'm not going to the UK, for example, on my own. If
Mhm.
maybe sometimes if I go to a live event, I want to do a
Sure.
episode there, but not. Yeah, so you get the same people pretty much. It's pretty much Benelux and Western Germany peeps
Well,
that
see, this is what I want to know. Like, why isn't the Tetris company flying you out to like interview at the Tetris movie premiere, right? Where's the live podcast there, right?
I mean-
hey, CTWC, hey, CTM, get this guy out there, right? Get him out there, record some live podcast. Because that's just, you get a big following and people are invested, and then like you go there and you do it live and it always sounds a little worse than the studio recordings, but the
It's also the
engagement is something else as well. So
that is one, and the other thing is people know that you're live because they hear the background note, so it's always they are okay with it. If I
right.
record it
I mean,
here,
the same things happen with Tetris scenes, right? With regionals, right? You hear background noise and you're like, oh, it's fine, it's live, it's in the right place.
so I don't care that the mic sound is worse during a live call
Mhm.
than it is during masters, for example.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Last year CTOC came at an unfortunate time. I could. It's. I have limited vacation days or holiday days, so I would love to spend them on Tetris, but I also have a family, so I know they are happy if if I spend those days on them. And
no, absolutely.
I really wanted to go to the DAS World Cup, and I had everything in place here that I could go, because that would be a 4-day trip, Friday to Monday.
Mhm.
But it was in the middle of summer holidays on work, and we had of a team of 14 people, 6 people who were out on holidays, out on vacation. So I knew I had to work because we were out of staff. So that sucked pretty much. And I didn't watch anything live from the DAS World Cup because honestly I felt terrible when I watched it, because I really wanted to be there. CTLC, I knew I couldn't be there, but the DAS World Cup, I really wanted to be there, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have done the DAS CTWC DAS podcast, because I felt the engagement and the video on it, but it sucked so much that I couldn't be there.
Well, somebody sign this guy, okay? Sign this guy. Get him out to your events, right?
Total Radness! Yo, this is Steve DeLuca of Total Radness, home of the Tetris World Order.
Bringing order to a chaotic world.
Ready to get rolling on the right side? Dominate the D-pad with a goofy foot controller. Visit TotalRadNES.com to score a controller modded by the inventor, me. We've also got TWO gear, CTWC approved hardware, and a ton of additional retrospective madness. Tune in to twitch.tv/Total Radness to watch Quaid and I take the BLV to 11. Also, don't miss the other homies at Aaron Jazamoki for the Boom Tetris house parties with the Kitchen Dwellers. And at Classic Vomps for those classic Tetris snugs. Be the best and keep it TWO for life.
We will return to the conversation in a minute, but first, the Peace Dependency Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Every episode will be available at full length over on the Peace Dependency Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe, rate, and like our content to get us notified. There's also a Peace Dependency YouTube channel. On this channel, you'll see podcast highlights, mini documentaries, and other NES related topic videos. You can follow us on the socials at Peace Dependency. Peace Dependency is active on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Join the Tetris Friendlies Discord server. Besides the fact that it's the place to discuss anything Peace Dependency, you can also participate in some lovely friendlies or put your ELO on the line in the various ELO battles. Go to tinyurl.com/TetrisFriendlies to join the server. If you have a suggestion who we need to have on the next Peace Dependency Podcast, let us know through the socials or our Discord channels. Now, let's go back to the conversation.
And speaking of, we got a live event coming up, Frank. Maybe you should start looking at these dates on your calendar. I don't know what holidays they're gonna call in sick. Work on. But Lonestar coming up this July. There's a special event on Friday that we haven't really talked too much about publicly. There's gonna be a special event.
I mean, when is Lone Star and where is Lone Star?
Sure. So Lone Star is in Austin, Texas.
Austin,
It's
Texas.
going to be July 21st through 23rd. The actual convention is on the 22nd and 23rd. We've kind of toyed around. It's more or less public. There'll be a 2-day tournament, right? That is both Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to make sure that we have enough time to slot in another national DAS tournament. Our DAS tournament as well on Sunday. Maybe do qualifiers all day on Saturday.
Yeah.
With some stations there, and then do DAS first, and then wrap up whatever the 2-day tournament looks like. But there's a special event on Friday too, and we've contacted a number of venues to reserve. It's gonna be that kind of thing. It's going to go for a number of hours long, so you'll want to be there on Friday, and there's at least a handful of special guests who are going to be there. And I don't know. We'll see how we have to make some. We're looking at the budget and trying to decide how big to go, how small to go, what's feasible. This first time doing a special event like this. But if you're going to be there, I'm just saying it now. You want to be there. You not just want to be there. You kind of have to be there on Friday. You will miss a significant part if you're just there for the convention to play Tetris, right? And I love hanging out with people who are at a convention playing Tetris, right? I've done that a number of times now, and that's always a good time. But we are looking to build upon that experience Friday night. Or not necessarily Friday night. It might be longer than that too. What place that we end up with.
Live hot tub stream.
Yeah, that's it, right? It's just we're gonna put. We're looking to book a hotel pool and hot tub. Everybody else can play in the pool, and then we'll stream from the hot tub.
Can you tell more about what's going on Friday, or is it just this?
It's basically just that at the moment, just because we haven't set much in stone. Okay, all right. I'm leaking here. All right, if you've made it to an hour and 10 minutes in the podcast, you deserve this, or whatever, however long this is at this point. There will be food. Oh, okay, right. That's like the main thing. There will be. All right, so that's a big thing. But no, it's we're looking for a very sort of, there's always like a casual hangout, right? That happens at these things, right? You go to a pub afterwards, or you go to after party or something, or maybe there's some hangs beforehand. We're looking to structurize that, and we're looking to have some people involved who can make that sort of casual vibe hangs a little bit more structured, so we have some streams involved as well as some engaging in person.
Oh yeah.
Activities as well.
Sweet.
That's all I can say for now. Unfortunately, we will drop the schedule as soon as we can, as soon as places booked, and we have a couple of names dotted and signed. We're looking at a bunch of different options, right? How much we want to spend on a venue, if we spend on a venue at all, right?
Yeah.
Free options out there, and what kind of venue are we looking for? Because that will play a large part in what sort of scale that this thing takes for this year, and maybe what it takes in the future. I don't know. So we're giving it a go. We're trying to do something special, and once as soon as we can announce it, I'll be happy to. There will be
So,
special guests.
like guests from within the community, or guests that are synonymous with NES Tetris, but are not really active in the community currently.
I mean, you'll have to show up and see. So I make no promises.
International
We
guests.
have we'll see. We have reached out. We have reached out to a couple of folks. We are waiting to see what if we have any. I don't know. There's just a lot of numbers being floated around right now. So until we lock those down a little bit, we're still 6 months out.
Yeah.
Right? No, 4 months out. Are we 4 months out now? 4 months out, right?
My birthday
So-
is 1 week prior to Lone Star.
Oh, there's your birthday. Does it come to Texas? There it is. No, we're 4 months out. So no, I think in April we'll have some things locked in. I have a meeting for it next week. We'll have some
sweet.
places locked in, some things locked in. So maybe in the video description, whenever this comes out, there could be a link to that announcement.
Definitely, yeah.
It really just comes down to some numbers that we're looking at and trying to make sure that we do right by the community, but also make it worthwhile for people to be there an extra day. So.
Oh yeah. So is there going to be a July CTM or do you already
That's the
know
plan.
that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know otherwise.
Because last
The
year
plan would be to have CTM and maybe the CTM live. I don't know. Last year we just so happened that it was possible that everybody was there in person. We would not have done it if one person was online, right? We just wouldn't have done it. It wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have been fair, and in person is only fair if everybody's in person dealing with the same stressors.
But
So-
still going with CTM masses live. Like, what are the odds that the 4 players are? Was it Lonestar Qual or was it the?
It was Lone Star.
The Lone Star, yeah.
It was Huff, and Huff flying in was the big one, right? Doesn't happen without Huff because Dog and Andy and Fractal were all local and planning to go.
Yeah.
Huff flying in was the big key, as well as they all had to win. So the big six in that period of era of Tetris, classic Tetris lore. The big six, those 4 of the big 6 had to pull out. So
I mean, the Big 6 is no more.
yeah,
Honestly.
it's done.
So I was thinking, I know we shouldn't prep anything, but I was thinking today at work, like, who is the best NES Tetris player? And I'm like, you can name names, like who's the best NTC player, who's the best PAL player. But I'm wondering who is the best overall NES Tetris player, like both versions of the game. And one name came to mind, and that's Sidnev.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think it's hard to argue against that at the moment. The reigning C-Tech champion, the multi-time finalist in CTM, and is going to win one. You're going to win one. It probably have won one by the time that this is released, okay? And then and then also won the CTWC Austria tournament, right? It was the most stacked European tournament ever, right? I'm going to say it. It just was. The most top tier players were at CTWC Austria.
3rd place Mega Masters last year, top 8 World Championship. So I think
that there's and also finalist in CTP today. So
So
I think that they're way up there. The only one, you kind of have to go to imagination land for the other ones, right? That's sort of the sort of investment, right? So could Fractal pick it back up and be one of the top PAL players? Probably. Could Eric? Probably, right?
Yeah.
But I think in terms of actual results, it's definitely Sidnev right now. So
But who do you consider right now the best NTSC player?
Right now, like if I was to say is the surefire favorite, if I'm putting them, circling them number one in my brackets
Yeah.
for Mega Masters, right now. Yeah, I mean it's tough not to pick Sidnev. It really is. At this point of the game, I think that you kind of have to turn your head and look at Dog, though. I think maybe in NTSC it's just been so consistent for so long. It's
Yeah.
starting to really make a push towards challenging Corion and the most Masters wins. Dog has something of a clutch factor that is just necessary. I'm watching a lot of March Madness basketball right now. And those clutch factors, sinking that last minute shot, like that is so important, and Dog has that. I think a little disappointed in his results coming in third or fourth at C2WC, and that's just crazy, right? And so it's kind of taken their kill screen aggression into the next level. So I would, if you're asking me who's going to win Mega Masters between those two, it's Dog or Sidnev right now.
Yeah, my pick would be
if you
Dog.
twisted my arm, I'd say Dog because I'm close to the Dog. And, they know where I live probably. And
I mean, I'm still picking Dog. I ask you the question. I mean, in my mind, right now, Dog playing Tetris is the best that you see Tetris player currently, and has been for. I think that the world title in 2020 freed Dog of all the tournament demons. Because won Masters a day later in 2020 and has been on a roll ever since.
Yeah, I think that like if you look at that point to now, it's clear that it's the competitive mindset is right there. There's no there's just a lot to say that I think makes it easy. I do think that the change maybe, or the addition of the super kill screen, the 39 double kill screen where pieces move twice as fast, has favored someone who's aggressive like Dog. So I think that maybe that's influenced my decision a little bit, right? And I think that those are good changes, right? We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
So I think that aggression like really puts the pressure on their opponents. Sometimes leads to early top outs, right? This Dog is not immune to those, right? We've seen
no
that.
one is.
Right, no one's immune to that entirely. But no, I think Dog is. And all right, here's Frank. Right, Frank, hi. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Ready for this, right?
Yeah.
The game keeps changing, right? We added a super kill screen, 39, right?
Yeah.
We did something at Lonestar last year. One game we had some time to kill. We were waiting on one match to finish up before we could go to the semifinals, like single stream or whatever it was. Right?
Yeah.
One game between Dog and Fractal.
Yeah.
It was a money match. Cash was put on top of the TV, like everyone putting money on, putting an immediate money match. I think it was like $60 or something, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
One game. No best of threes. One best of one.
Yeah.
One game. Transition trainer. 500k start. Played it out, right?
Yeah.
One grudge match game. And I wonder, I'm starting to think that maybe, just maybe, those YouTube commenters have it right. That 18 is a little boring. Maybe, just maybe, that the stacking, that these Tetris players, these masters.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they will top out on 18. They would top out early on 19, right? Like, that's not, the difference is not the level speed. The difference is that they play too aggressive and they top out, right? That they can't, their rolling can't get them out of everything that they thought that they misdropped really high up, right? I'm starting to wonder, what would 100 lines of 19 with the level scaling and 100 lines of 29 with the level scalings, what would that format look like? 200 lines, maybe we start at 0, right, instead of starting at 500k. Maybe that screws all the competition records up. Maybe, like, that it's just its own brand new way to play the game.
I agree.
But maybe it's more interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that 230 lines of 19 is boring as hell. You don't want that.
Nope. No.
We
19 starts. This is not it. No.
If you want to play 19 starts, and I am in favor of 19 start matches, but then you should do transition trainer, or if you want to start on 0 or 500k, whatever. But then you should do 100 lines of 19, 100 lines of 29, and then you're done. You get shorter matches. You get more interesting matches. I do agree that 18 for the top best players of the scene is boring. I fully agree. But I think the only reason we still start on 18 is because no one wants to watch 230 lines of 19 play.
Right. I agree with you. And I think that's one thing we've been working towards in CTM has been we have players having access to Tetris Gym, right? It's a ROM hack. You can go find the link on our website. And Tetris Gym opens up other possibilities. Number one, it opens up same pieces, right? It opens up same pieces remotely around the world. Now we can have the same exact piece set. Right?
Which is
That's
required
wonderful.
for Masters right now.
Right, and we moved to that as soon as we said you have to be playing on this version of the game, right?
Yeah.
We moved to that. We added the double super kill screen, I guess. It was 49, right? And people forget that too. I'm just gonna say, just because I get a platform here to say it, right? And none of the players are watching this, right? It's all the folks who enjoy podcasts, right? But so players, when you're watching this, you're listening to this now. I know you are, right? We did 49 before CTWC, right?
Yeah.
Right? We could have turn the wrist, twist your arm. You're gonna play aggressive right before a major uncapped tournament. We said 49 to give you some idea. Don't play super aggressive. That's 20 levels, right? But then after that, we said, okay, 39. That's kind of the future. And you know what? CTWC regionals this year have been using
39.
Yeah, 39
CTL.
super kill screen, right?
39.
So I think the memo has been, okay, well, it's not going to be 49. We did that as a favor to the top tier players, and now 39. So I think that a lot of players have access to this version, this hack, this ROM hack, this patch on top of the other ROM. Then now we can start thinking outside of the box and sort of some other formats. And I think a transition trainer. Masters, for example, where you have 100 lines of 19, 100 lines of 29. Maybe it sucks, right? But we don't know because we haven't tried it.
Yeah.
We have no one has. I've seen one grudge match, and even that didn't have the super kill screen element. It was still like just a grudge match, a transition trainer. Maybe there's been some experiments with Hydrant's AnyDAS. Unfortunately, I haven't seen all of those. They do a new tournament format every Tuesday. It's a wonderful idea. But I can't catch every Tuesday. I just have an obligation Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Or Thursday night, sorry. It used to be Tuesday, now it's Thursdays, I think. But, so they might have done something like that, right? That they do a quick fire
I
tournament.
think so, but I'm not sure.
But not on a major scale, and not at a sort of premier level event that has a lot of eyes on it. So I think it's time to see if it's a viable format or if 18 is always going to be part of the equation. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about before, right? Players get better. Organizations have to get better too, right? We have to change the rules. The players are getting better. We can't just keep using the same old rule set.
Yeah. And if you don't try it, you don't know it. But if you try it once, you know if you want to keep it or just disregard it.
Right.
And
like maybe it's go for it.
And the beauty of CTM is that it's a monthly tournament. So it's I don't want to call it, but I'm gonna call it because we're shooting, CTWC is a little bit of the big old dinosaur. It changed very slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively, But
sure.
They only have one tournament a year, so they have to get the rules right every year. And but CTM can just experiment month after month after month. You're not gonna do it, but in theory, you can experiment month after month after month. So if players don't want to play Transition Masters or Transition CTM, they gotta skip a month. They're gonna skip a month anyway because that month they can't qualify, or next month they know they have obligations that it's difficult or whatever. So it's easier to do these types of things online and test them online than do them on a live event. Because why do you want to experiment on a live event? I know Lone Star's maybe gonna do it, but most CTWC's regional qualifiers just not gonna do it, because or they I think Illinois was last week, was maybe the first time that they organized an IRL event. Vienna was the first time that they organized a live event. So why do you want to bother with new rules and experimenting stuff if you already have the stress of setting up a live event?
Right, and I think Illinois was the second year, and they did a silver bracket to see what that looked like. I think they did a double elimination and a silver bracket or something. I think they had a double elimination silver bracket with the same number of players in both. So that was their experiment this time. So they do, but it's like you said as a dinosaur, just because you get one big shot, right? Like CTWC Prestige, highest bar, right? It just is, right? Everybody looks forward to CTWC. Who's going to be there? What's going to happen? What are the rules, right? Like, people look forward to that. But as you said, it's a one major tournament, right? The regional, we see already this desire for the 39 kill screen, so they probably, guess what? Probably going to have that this year at CTWC, right?
Yeah.
And I think for a more aggressive format change, that you're right, that with a monthly tournament, that it's something you could try. The only thing is that I want to make sure it's not just a pumpy, crazy idea kind of thing, that there's support for it with the players, right? Because I do want, it doesn't need to have every player support. If it's a good idea, you do the idea, and then maybe players will change their mind. If it has audience support, well, audiences hate 18 already, so whatever. So I guess that it would probably have some of that support.
Yeah.
But I think that the this change is that you don't want to do it unilaterally. But I think that there's certainly, you can take a risk, and if it, we have a huge Mega Masters, 64 players plus players, right? If you get more than 64 players, you get a max out on qualifiers. I don't know how that's going to work. It's going to be crazy. But if we do, I will stream 24 hours if we get like 200 max out. I'll do a 24-hour stream and get all of them done that first weekend. But then we will have that tournament to be a very big thing. And so maybe, like, it's the summertime, maybe we try something completely different, right? The sort of super kill screen's been accepted. Maybe we try this transition thing May or June or something and see if it's viable.
Or you can host an exhibition tournament with all Masters winners of 2022. Just have new rules. Then you have the best of the best, because they are Masters winners of 2022. And these are probably also the Master players of 2023 and early 2024. So put on a brand new Matcherino just for that event. Winner takes all match. Transition
champions tournament or something.
Yeah, but not with traditional rules, but with the transition rules.
Yeah, you could, right? And just say these are the best of the best. So that's certainly another way to go about it. But I don't know. I think it is potentially interesting. Does it kind of put a death put a knee on the throat of DAS players? Probably. I don't know for sure. I mean, like, maybe not. Maybe someone could have terrible efficiency on 19 and they top out early on 29. I don't know. So I don't know for sure if it puts a death knee on any single play style. But you don't know until you try, and I think that the willingness to try is still alive and well, and especially on a monthly tournament, that we can try things, and we can also do, like, if we want to have an exhibition tournament alongside a monthly tournament, which we do all the time. And we are looking for partners. If you're watching this and you're like, hey, well, I don't know if I can partner with CTM, talk to me, talk to Vandy, right? Always engaging in those conversations. Because I think that we'll have Mega Masters. Then I don't know, maybe you've heard, maybe you haven't heard, but the premier DAS tournament that takes place with players from all around the world, the classic Tetris real DAS tournament, is coming to CTM again, so we're happy to be working with Scamper for CT DAS, and that's going to be another exciting. That's going to be in May, so I'm kind of looking at the timeline of table, and CTM's kind of going to have something just about every month to talk about from here till August or so, and then I got to figure out something for then.
But I doubt that 18 will go away. You will still have 18 at DAS only tournaments. And I think you should treat 18 as like we treat 15. Like the lower tiers, I doubt that hopefuls or futures will ever have a 19 start, you know?
Right.
Challengers.
Oh, I wouldn't say never, but I would say for maybe like
right now.
We get 2 years. 2 years maybe from now. Can you give us 2 years, player?
Yeah. But you know, Masters it would make sense. Challengers, maybe first round not so much. Right. Second round, yes.
And there's ways to implement it. You could either do a level selection, right? Like that's always been something that even going back to the first Masters and first CTWCs, right? There was a level selection component. Maybe bring in from CTL where there was veto options, right? The player could veto that, right? And you do vetoes at the top level, right? Yeah, right. 18 veto. I'm not playing 18 today. I'm just gonna play 15. So I don't know. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it, but I think the big thing to do is always have a desire to try new things. And try them regularly. If you have a regionals and you organize regionals, then do something at every regional a little different until you find the right key that begins to work, and then once you find that nugget, improve upon it, right?
But also in that way, you will never have a DAS player probably playing a transition match because, sorry DAS players, we love you, but the DAS player will never reach Masters, or probably very rarely reach Masters ever again, or the top division of any competition where they implement these rules. Like they will, DAS players during the open tournaments will always play second to third tier.
I mean, Tugi got in this past month, but because some folks withdrew and stuff, and I think he went to bed not in Masters, woke up in Masters. He was very surprised about that. But no, I generally agree. I think that you also need to be, if that is something that's available, right, you need to be acutely aware of how do you implement that in a live setting, right? Where there's not going to be the top 16 players in the world gathered together. And even at CTWC, right, like they ran a 48 player gold bracket, right? Does that mean that every player in the 48 needs to play on this new mode? I don't think that the player base is there yet, like you were saying. So you wouldn't expect it in Hopefuls or Futures. I don't think that you would expect it in top 48. But I think that the willingness to try and start bringing things in is just it keeps the scene moving, right? It keeps it interesting. It refuses to become stale. The biggest thing when you're working on something from month to month is like, how do I keep this from being routine, right? And I mean, you do things like this podcast with video, right? Last minute, you know, and you know, spice it up. And it's like, oh, does this work? Okay.
I don't know.
You did the live things this year, right? So you're always trying to find ways to bring that in. And it's the same thing with you organizing tournaments. Like, you know, now obviously there's some really dumb things you could do to spice it up, but I don't think a transition trainer tournament is necessarily the worst thing. You could do like 29 start number of lines tournament or something, and they'd be like, what? Why are you making that big of a leap? But
the 19 start makes sense. That's one thing for sure. And I mean, I think the top players could play blindfold on 18. They know where it is, you know. So it's and
they're very, very good at 18. And like, yes, transition matters. People have differences at 50K. Sometimes you see at the top level, you will see 100K. A 100K lead is huge in Masters, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's crazy that someone was that much more efficient with the same pieces than someone else. And again, like, sometimes we say masters and we always think of like, the big six, even though the big six doesn't exist, right? But we think of like the very, very top of masters. There's a lot of people who, like 15 people lose in masters every month, right? It's
True.
a single elimination tournament. So there's folks in like that who I guess finish in 9th through 16th place or whatever. Who are in this conversation as well, right? Who I think that could easily compete. And I wouldn't say that if I thought it was just like 6 people who could play it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players who could play a transition trainer tournament.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At the pitches I've had it, as I've proposed it so far, is mini masters. We do mega masters, 64 plus tournaments, huge, and then all right, mini masters is shorter games, right?
Yeah.
So that's and of course, maybe if you really care, if you really have to have 50-minute videos, which I don't think you do, of Tetris tournaments, right? Each of our matches are like 45, 50 minutes on YouTube. I don't think you need to be that long. If you look at when C2WC was algorithming, right, it's because you could play a match in 15 minutes, right? And
Yeah.
with it, right? So I don't know for sure if you need to have a long. But if you want to have longer matches, you can do a best of 7 transition trainer tournament. If you think that that's too much RNG in the mix, that you can do a best of 7 then, right?
I mean,
It's not the end of the world to try different formats and different numbers, or maybe it's the best format and you can drop down to best of 3. You never know until
no best of 3.
Right? Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
But if you're gonna do, Paul is using best of 7 and best of 9, and if you're gonna do for now, but if you're gonna do, or if you have the Benelux Cup and you have so god awful technical issues, you go to best of 5 and best of 7. Well, whatever. That's not the point. Right. But if you go transition if you go on 19, I don't want to call it transitions matches. If you start on 19, there are, what is it? 18 is like 4 to 5 minutes, something like that. So then you can go to best of 7. For example, because you get shorter matches just like Paul matches.
The time works out to do best of 7. I just don't know if the desire to do best of 7 is necessarily there. Maybe you play it and you're like, yeah, it's too much variability. We need best of 7. So I think you try it at best of 5, just because I think the players can play like they don't warm up on 18. Nobody warms up on 18 anymore.
Everyone
like that
warms
is such
up
a thing
29.
from like 4 years ago, right? And so
Even
18 speed is right. 18 speed is not a challenge, right? So then you will see people play B-type 19-4. Like you still see that, in warm-ups, but like most of the time it's 29 in warm-ups. So I think that testing those 5 taps and I think that I don't know. I think that the player skill has increased, so you increase. Right, and then the player gets up here, so you do this, and then it gets going, and then maybe at some point that hits an equilibrium. The one thing that has been constant in the entire community since I've joined, when I was at CTWC in 2017 and started following the scene, the one thing that's been constant is that the scene keeps improving. Right?
Yeah,
there really hasn't been a sort of dip in skill. I think the dip in number of matches, well, that makes sense. People are going outside now. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so there's not as many matches going on. Players joining players, well, that also makes sense. People are going outside. That's where I was going with the TC's Classic Score Attack. I think a lot of players are playing in that and being like, this is not really my jam. Where before we were adding those people as new players to the scene. Or servers were getting larger or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That you were looking at that number going up. And that number's, dropped a little bit after people going outside again. So that makes sense. But I think that the skill at the very top has always done this. And I think that and until these things line up, you're always going to be wrestling with that.
If Doc doesn't want to play Masters, Doc doesn't play Masters for whatever reason. But I do think that the top players are coming back to Masters because of the Matcherino and because of the prize pool that's always there. Same like they want to sign up for TTL. It's the biggest prize pool.
Our contributors are incredible, right? Shall Be Satisfied, Scott Gray, Dog, K9, watching Tetris, right? Big 3 in CTM, super appreciative of all that they do for the prize pool, but they're also in chat hanging out, right? K9 the last couple months, no pressure to keep doing this at all, but it's just been incredible to see. K9 has been like, I'll put $100 in if all these coupon codes are selected at the end of this match. And you know what? People go in, they get involved,
Yeah.
they get engaged. So they're invested in the scene, is what I'm trying to say. They're not just passive, sort of like, oh, Mr. Beast, oh, this Masters is on, let me just chop
Yeah.
XYZ in. That investment from them is incredible, and I think that keeps the top players invested, and I think that again keeps the scene on the up and up. So I couldn't be more grateful for those. And if I can just a little bit humble brag, I think that it also shows that those contributors understand the amount of work that's going on to make the scene successful with CTM. I think that it's a sort of contract, not like a verbal contract or any sort of monetary contract going on behind, but a sort of, we are here for you on this end if you pull the weight on this end, and they like what they see the improvement from the month, the new layout, right?
I love it.
Monthly Tetris, last we talked, we're on partner on Twitch, we haven't even talked about that process, and now our numbers are so good on, alright, now this is an actual brag. Our numbers are so good on challengers through hopefuls that we could probably apply for partner with just those without even masters. That our masters numbers is just cream on the top in terms of applying for partner. Now, of course, that takes viewers, that takes people engaged, that takes you out there who watch it. It's incredible. And so that feedback when you say things like, I don't like 18, well, then I'm listening to that, right? I'm like, you know what? Yes, I have noticed myself going to the fridge, during 18 a little bit more than I used to, right? So there's something there. So it all circles back on itself, and it's like keep building and building and building. And I'm just so grateful for the support that we have from the viewers, the audience, the players, the contributors, all around. It kind of blows my mind.
I mean,
It really does.
It's years' work. And building on a foundation that's there since 2017, or pretty much like working hard since 2018, 2019, and then pandemic did wonders for CTM, and I think the biggest positive change is moving away from the classic Tetris channel and going to monthly Tetris, even though it was by an accident because of the first, like we said, Doc winning his first Masters event was on monthly Tetris, I think it was on monthly Tetris.
Yeah, I think that's
because
right.
they scheduled classic Tetris had something else scheduled on the same day, and since then every Masters event is on monthly Tetris, and you don't have any copyright law, copyright issues with anything because you own everything yourself. And then building upon that.
It's been tough, right? I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You look at the success that is there, and you're like, okay, what would this be like if we had more followers and more subscribers, right? It's just a constant grind, right? Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie and pretend like we're done or anything like that. There's a lot of work to do. I still think that I would love to get to a point like Classic Tetris, like any other large channel, where you get people who are like, "What is this?" Right? Yeah. We rarely get "What is this?" questions, right? I'd love more "What is this?" questions, right? I'd love more noobs in the chat, right? And so I think that we still have a long way to go on that end. But I'm super, super appreciative for the people who are hardcore and into it and are there like almost every stream. People plan their lunch breaks around this. It's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
So I think that being on our own channel means that we have less schedule conflicts, which another thing that happened during the pandemic, we started scheduling with the players, right?
At first I love that format.
It's
wonderful.
I'm sorry you're going to miss some streams, right? Right? Like you are. Like that's just going to happen. But on the flip side, number one, we have more content going throughout the month, right? The decision that we made a commitment when we made hopefuls. We said, okay, we're going to have hopefuls and futures and challenges and masters these are your premier top level tournaments, and you get to be on the channel, and we'll work that out. The decision to work with players has sort of shifted the scene around. And don't get me wrong, like it's very frustrating as a scheduler sometimes to work with people from all around the world who, through no fault of their own, are like students in school.
I know.
And as a professor, I value that. So I'm not gonna say, okay, well, what I want you to do is play 3 hours before your school on this.
Yeah.
Sunday or this Monday, which is like this person's Sunday and this other person's Sunday morning, right? Right. So it takes a lot of work, and our schedulers are great with that, and I schedule as well, and help sort of supervise that. But boy, it's just led to better match play. It really has, right?
I
You have
know
to play in
it's-
the comfort of your own home, plus when it's convenient for you,
Yeah.
or most of the time when it's convenient for you.
Yeah.
There's always like 1 or 2 players out of 64 that were like, I'm sorry, can you make this sort of sacrifice? Started like 30 minutes earlier, an hour earlier,
Yeah.
or this day, I know this time wasn't great for you, can you make it work? But out of the sum of the whole, it leads to a really positive experience, and we're just...
I mean, and still gets.
it was brilliant to do that. Whoever
And-
came up with that idea.
Was it you?
I don't know. I don't think it was me. I think it was Vandy, right? Like Vandy
Yeah.
started it with Masters, but I said we have to do it for all of them, right?
Yeah.
I kind of said if we're gonna do futures and hopefuls, we gotta schedule with them just like everyone else. I did all the scheduling for the first month, and I said I can do maybe one more month of this, and then that's out, and then I'm out. I'm like I cannot schedule 64 people, and then I get
Oh,
4
no.
people on
I-
board to help out.
I know-
there, so.
I know a little bit of the frustration through CTL, where I'm a super streamer.
Uh-huh.
I do know the frustration from the Benelux, where I manage everything for the tournaments, which why we only have 2 tournaments a year, because I can't. It's even with a small tournament like the Benelux Cup, where we have 8 players and all that, we still have group stages, still have 5 people, 4 or 5 people that you need to coordinate at the same time, and that person doesn't want to play on that day. That person was like, okay, and then last Paul Benelux Cup, okay, we had a set date. We had only one day that people could play, and then Sydney was winning group. I'm sorry, but CTL Championship is that day, and I'm like, oh fudge. I know
Oh,
CTL Championship
yeah.
is on the day, and prize money is on the line, and I know it's more. I always want to wrap up and give the Benelux high praise, but I know CTL for Sydney is more important because of the money that's on the line. It's kind of
Sure.
the job for Sydney. And like I think, oh, I have to work around that, and I have to work around that, and I'm like, oh man, yeah. So I know a little bit of the frustration. Do know the frustration for the podcast scheduling and all that, and that's only with one person and not with 64 players. But,
Yeah, those 2 months, January and February 2021, and 2022. Is that
Yeah.
right? We're in 2022. Yeah, 2022. Like,
Yeah.
those weren't great. But we made it happen. We made it done. And yeah, it's frustrating. It is. Like, it just is. It's like you have to sort of navigate that. When it's easy, it's great. When it's not so easy, it's a little frustrating just because, you want it to be easy.
Yeah.
Like the other one.
yeah,
Right, but it's not like it's. I think that in the end, it leads to everyone being a little happier than if they were told they have to play at a certain time for a monthly tournament.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Hopefuls is the first weekend, then Futures, then Challengers, then Masters, and we just did that, right? Like, that's a viable format, right? We could do that, and we could be like, we're going to play the whole tournament the first Saturday, then this Saturday, then this Saturday,
Yeah.
then this Saturday, and withdraw if you can't play on those Saturdays. I'm sorry, right? But I think it leads to, it might lead to more growth, honestly, but it might, I think it doesn't work as well for the players. So you have to be available for 8 hours on a Saturday, and if you win,
Yeah.
you have to be available 8 hours the next Saturday. That's probably not going to fly. So
yeah. And you get like I said, 20-ish CTM streams a month. Then you have non-CTM streams on monthly Tetris.
mhm.
So you have more streams in a month than non-streams in a month.
Yeah,
More
the number of
streaming
days
days.
that we go live, and I do try to work with schedulers too, that we get as many, because we are working with students and students from across the world that normally the weekdays are not as active. So I said, if there's any time in the weekdays, snatch it up, right? If
Yeah.
they're playing at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday, that's wonderful, right? Let's
Yeah.
go live 4 p.m. on a Tuesday, and not just put them all on the weekend because it's more or less easier.
Yeah.
On those dates, and you know what, they listen, right? They have a great team around it. The tournament ambassadors, The more active ones now, Ivory, Poyo, Burb Wizard, but also Chalala recently joined, is doing good work. But also the ones in the past, Foil Thrice, really helped out a lot and just deserves a lot of praise for its scheduling with folks. And now it's popular enough that that's how it goes in CTL. The one thing I'm jealous of CTL is that it is pretty flexible, right? Like you got to play, there's our structure is not as flexible. We kind of have to play the rounds 1 and 2 before we can play the semifinals, right? There's no way around it. The CTL, you're a little bit more flexible, so I'm glad that the structure works for them, that they can get players sorted. But it's a little. I'm jealous of their structure.
Yeah, but still a lot of matches are played on the last week.
That's true too. And also, there are so many matches, right? So I think they have. Oh me, I did the math before, but I don't want to do it on the spot. How many do you know the current players in each Division 1?
No.
Let me see. All right.
This is
the beauty of doing this as a conversation, right?
I wanted to do. I knew I had 6 matches during my openings day stream, Division 2 to 5, and I wanted to calculate how many matches there should have been played during Season 20, and I forgot, so I don't have the answer for you.
So we have there's 7 players in each division, Division 1A, Division 1B.
Yeah.
And each of those players, 7, they have to play the other 6, right?
Yeah.
So there's
14 times 6.
Right. Is that right? It's like it's 6 factorial, right? Is that
14 players should play 6 matches each.
14 players should play 6 matches each. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But then you don't count the ones when they play each other, right? So it's like.
Oh yeah. True.
Right. So what is it, like 21? Is it 21? Some math person's gonna like grill me on this. I think it's 21.
They are screaming right now.
Yeah, we are streaming. Oh my.
No. They are screaming right now at us.
They're screaming right now.
All
right. It's a lot of matches.
You should do
right?
that. And
You should know. Because I think if the first person has to play 6 matches, then it's 5, then 4, then 3. So it's 6 with the exclamation point. Which is 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Yeah, 21, right? That's what I got. All right. 21 matches on one side, 21 on the other. That's a lot of matches. That's a lot of matches with 14 participants. So
yeah,
they have to do a lot more matches, but they're a little bit more flexible about when the match is played. Although there's always going to be like 1 or 2 matchups. You're like, I don't know when these two are going to play because they're on opposite sides of the world, So I'm not jealous of that because that always creeps in. But the number of matches, yeah.
You know who was my go-to restreamer when I had to play at like 8 or 9 a.m. Local time? I always went with White.
Oh yeah, White was probably like evening in Australia, right?
Yeah. I always knew that if I had to play early in the morning in the Netherlands, I always DM'd White. Could you take my match? White always restreamed my morning matches. Like I had certain restreamers. If I knew I have to play in the morning, I can DM this person. If I have to play in the afternoon, I have to DM this person, and if to play in the night, I can DM anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, big shout out to White.
White's and White's restreaming again. So I'm glad to see
happy that White is back. But is Twitch Chat of CTM now partner or still haven't applied?
Oh yeah,
partner? Yeah.
Yeah, we're partner now. We got partner. We found out in Waco 2022. We found out the Sunday morning, but we didn't want to it was a CTWC event. We didn't want to come out and be like, oh, look what we did. Partner this week. So we found out that weekend, and we announced it on Monday, and then did a special stream. I think the week after or something, just like a partner celebration stream. And we've done that. The YouTube has been doing well for us. We've kind of hit a period of equilibrium where we're happy with the returns. But if we want to grow, we're going to have to do some different things there. So we'll have to start thinking about what that looks like. so not unhappy, but just like we've hit an equilibrium, and it's like, is this the equilibrium we want, and do we want to grow? Right? We just gotta ask those questions.
Yeah,
Twitch has been growing as well. Every time that you stream, you get followers, right? So the more streams you have, somebody comes in like,
exactly.
oh, this is interesting, follow.
But are there different tiers
Um,
within partner, or is it just one partner
mhm.
program?
No, there's a different number. Well, maybe it's tiers, maybe it's contracts is a better way to conceptualize
Oh,
it,
yeah.
right? So certain contracts, like for example, the Rocket League page. And this one I know. I'm sure there's others. There's some partners on Twitch that are allowed to multi-Twitch, multi-stream. They can stream to Twitch, they can stream to YouTube at the same time, right?
Yeah,
That's not in our partner agreement, for example, right? So because they know that those are going to go on YouTube anyways, right? So they, like the benefits of watching on Twitch versus the benefits of watching on YouTube. I'm not going to get into all that.
yeah,
But they're different audiences, basically, right? So, being able to do that, they've been able to negotiate, and it's because they get, they have a million something, probably multi-million, followers, and have a very big audience for
Yeah.
their tournaments. So I think that maybe a better way of conceptualizing that is that yes, there are tiers, but also there are contracts and agreements
Oh, yeah.
that you have. So. For working in this is literally pull yourself up by the bootstraps, right? We started from very little, and the subs really didn't start until years after the channel was made, right? With the switch to host on that December. So I think that hurt us a little bit in our first few applications. Our numbers were there, but we weren't active for long enough.
yeah,
And then by that point, our numbers were more than enough.
yeah.
And then also being very active over and over again that it worked
Nice.
out. So
Sweet.
Yeah.
One of the few, I think, classic Tetris channels that are partner.
I want to see one of these players go get partner. It's been too long. I think that Dog, Fractal, Miles, potentially Doge. I think Sidnev, if Sidnev started streaming like as a entertainer, I think that like that's the thing, right? Like a lot of our players are younger now. They're younger demo than before, but I think that the more active players are, they get views when they go live. So I think it would be great to see them make a stream schedule, commit to it. Tuesdays, I'm gonna do my homework immediately, and then I'm gonna stream that evening, right?
Yeah.
And like Tetris Tuesdays or whatever, right? And like I think that they would get partner in almost no time if they did like 2 or 3
Probably.
streams a week. That I want to see that for them, because I think that's just a outside of the Matcherino funds, and that come in from generous donors, maybe you'll find a different audience by streaming on your own. So I think that like it was Jonas by far and away, right, the most successful Twitch partner account. I would almost argue like more successful than the Twitch partnership that CTWC has, right?
Yeah.
Because CTWC uses it quite well and gets front page and everything. But Jonas was live all the time, like a full-time streamer by the time that they decided to move, and before then too. So Joseph,
Yeah.
right? Joseph streamed all the time, just casual hangs, a lot of followers, a lot of likes, a very relatable person. I think a lot of people found enjoyment of those streams, and of course the world record chasing was certainly part of that. And then what other partners, right? Like what are the other player partners? I think Harry partner.
Yeah, but
think so. It's been a while.
If Harry is partner,
And if he is, it's not like he got it from just streaming Tetris.
No.
I don't think.
Fall Guys.
Yeah. I don't think he's partner, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me see if I can find.
Probably affiliated. Like a lot of players.
And again, I don't have nothing against Harry or anything. I think it's time for more players to be partner. That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
It is.
I fully agree.
Part of the vision of moving to hopefuls and adding futures and maybe another tournament at some point too is that there's so much content going on monthly Tetris that there's something to look forward to every day, right?
Yeah.
And then what if it goes from that to there's something to look forward to in the morning and the evening? And then it goes from that to there's something to look forward to every afternoon. And then it goes from that to the afternoon in Asia is occupied, right? That's content I'm going to miss out on. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the sort of long-term goal is that you want to see so much happening in maybe it's just in the Tetris category on Twitch. Maybe it's not even a full channel dedicated to it or something. But there's so much going on. I'll get up in the morning and it'll be 8 o'clock and I'm about to commute to work and I'm like, is anyone streaming? I can just like listen to them play Tetris or something, or on the drive, hear about their grind, talk about themselves. No one's streaming, right?
No.
And I think that getting to that, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. I'm sure that happens with European viewers, that you get on and like nobody's on, right? Because it's not afternoon or evening in Europe yet, and that's the sort of vision where there's enough people involved that there's always something going on. Yeah. Whether that's organized tournaments, whether that's like, the Kingsman Tetris Empire that you are under, like he kind of has a little bit of that idea going on, right? Where there's like something going on Monday night, something going on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, or Wednesday afternoon, or right? You can kind of Friday night fights, right?
Yeah, every day of the week.
CTL Super Sunday, and all these sort of things theoretically moving in that direction. I think it'd be great to see. So I think he's on the right idea that you want to have something going on at all the time. But I just don't know. I think, and that's new, right? As opposed to like the rehashes of poker tournaments you haven't seen before. Because the other thing is that if you try hard enough, and there are people out there, and don't do this, but if you try hard enough, you can watch all the classic Tetris matches, right? There's like an average of 20 matches a day.
Yeah.
You could actually do that, right? If you know life it, don't go outside, don't have a job. Or if you have a job and you know the right places at the right time, you could probably watch them all every single day.
Yeah.
But I'd love to get to a place where you can't do that. There's no way.
I mean,
there's so many matches going on, you can't watch it. So
I don't even watch all of Masters or all of CTL.
Mm-hmm. I don't watch all of CTL. I can't do it. It's too many matches.
No, I don't watch Masters
or all of CTM either. Right? Watch every single stream.
CTM mostly it's early midnight, late or like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. for me. So that's a no. I try to watch the Father back, but most of the times I'm doing just I'm looking at the spreadsheet, the match database, who won. my good old friend, the match database, and follow the tournament through that. And just like CTL, it's for me impossible to watch all the matches. And God, I didn't even watch CTWC live.
That's such a good problem. I think that's such a good problem, right? That you can't watch everything. I think that's a positive thing. That there's too much going on, right? More touches than you can handle is a good thing. I think trying to make it so you can handle everything is not. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that I want to see the scene where there's stuff going on all the time, that people have options, right? Like you said, if the poker channel 24/7 wasn't working for you, you went to another one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or you watched the tournament recap, right? And that's 3 hours long or something, right? So like those options are so important, and I think that's the sort of place that I want to take the scene to.
I do miss.
People can't help themselves but to stream Tetris.
Yeah. But I do miss the Scouts CTM recaps, because that was my way of following CTM. Like, I'm not going to watch every match on the CTM channel. I'll watch certain matches because I'm interested, and I try to watch the finals because I'm interested in those matches, but I'm not going to watch every match. Just like hockey, I'm a hockey fan, but I'm not going to watch every NHL match. Or I'm not going to watch every single match from my favorite hockey team because they are playing at 4 a.m. in the morning. So I watch the highlights.
Right. I do. One thing that we did. All right. So before I get too bummed out, I missed the Game Scout recaps too. They were phenomenal, but they were a ton of work, right? The production level on those were through the roof, right? Multiple interviews each month. The loser and the winner. The grabbing the screens. The adding of pace stats, which it's kind of funny to look back on. I think also Yobi, I love you. You're watching this, right? Yobi, we need 39 pace, right? And I'll DM you about that too. But we need 39 pace at some point, right? Okay, but you can just like trigger. Like, are you on 39 pace? Yes. There you go.
Check.
But check mark. I think that those were incredible, but there was such a time investment, And I unfortunately don't know if he got the results in terms of views as he was anticipating or wanting for those. They just took so much time to put in that's less time that you could put into a video that maybe brings greater exposure to the scene. And I think that shift in attitude is definitely something that I've been wondering about, right? We put a lot of time in. I want Tetris happening 24/7. I want to contribute to Tetris happening 24/7.
Yep.
But does that mean that every video then that we need to be putting out videos 24/7? I don't know. Don't know the answer to that. And should we, or is there a possibility to, shift up the formula that finds a little bit more success, not with the algorithm, but more success finding an audience for it, right? It's not always the algorithm's fault that our content doesn't perform well. Maybe it's because our content is not tailored to finding a large enough audience, right? So how can we keep making those improvements?
Yeah.
So I think that you take it from a top-down approach, you take it from a bottom-up approach. That's the way to do it.
I mean,
have so much content going on that you can't possibly recap it all, and that means that you're going to get moments that are like viral and they have to go big. And so I just want to give a quick shout out to Scout for, instead of doing the big production highlights, has pivoted towards immensely pumping out content on Line Spin Media, which is our sort of like highlights.
Yeah.
That's what you were talking about. Our highlight moments. I don't know if you would go and watch all of Dog Eric match, right, from this last month. But if you watch that one highlight, you get a pretty good idea of the sort of level of competition without having to see the early top outs and gift exchanges and stuff, right? And it's great to just have a highlight. I think one of the more, and it also gets to highlight not just competition or not just world records and high scores, but like one of my favorite clips uploaded there was Noah's brother walking in the room with a Nerf gun that was turned on and put it right up next to their ear. And it had the machine gun going, and they're about to transition to 29. You could just tell it was a little brother knows not to do that. And like, guess what? Like, all right, I was in that clip, right? Full disclosure or whatever. But like, I was cracking up. I was losing it, and like maybe in some alternative reality that doesn't happen, and there's still a thrilling like moment. But I think that moment has done pretty well on Line Spin compared to like, and I think at the time it was a futures match or something like that, you know? And so being able to highlight things outside of Masters,
that's
got more than willing. I think like there was a futures match on there with Sharky and Aaron that's doing well right now too.
I love the Line Spin Media channel. I truly do. It's a great addition to highlighting CTM. And it's relatively easy. Like you clip it and you should re-edit it for a little bit, but you clip it and you put it out, so you can pump out content pretty much every day.
And we clip it and put it on TikTok already and Instagram a little bit as well. But like we definitely so that process is in place. That there's one clip how we're going to present it on TikTok. Does this go on Line Spin? And I think that also it contributes when our community, right? You go into CTM, there's a highlights channel. When people clip stuff and put it in there, guess what? Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You just gave us, you gave another opportunity to see something that you enjoyed. I bet there's an audience out there that enjoys it too. And with, it was daily uploads until we could get to a stability point, and now it's more or less daily uploads. On that channel, just because all the content's coming out all the time, that there's stuff to crank out. So I think that, and that's Scout's brainchild. We were talking like matches and clips, and we were like, nope, we can't put matches and clips on the same channel. Make a new channel, give it a fancy name. See how that goes.
I mean, it's just as fancy as Speed Dependency. it's
Line Spin Media. That's Vandy's favorite move. So
the Line Spin, obviously. Oh man, we've been talking for 2 hours now.
I can tell a little bit. But this has been great. No, it's I think that if you do a format like this, it would really, pick up, especially someone that you want to talk to, and I have that you have that rapport with, that like, okay, we could actually make this work. I think that it could be interesting. Or on the flip side, you get to the editing room, like, oh, I gotta cut this, I gotta cut this. This is too boring, this went on too long. Pumpy talked too much about the difference between 50 hertz and 60 hertz or something.
No, we'll see. I have a different challenge with video editing right now, so we'll see. But yeah, Pumpy, thanks so much for joining me on the Peace Dependency Podcast here for this month. It was a truly pleasure, and maybe next time when someone is ghosting me, we can do a State of Community Part 3.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll start taking over the Peace Dependency Podcast, and it becomes a 3-person show. I know you already love scheduling right now, so then I'll just come in like haphazardly. I'll just join the Discord call whenever I feel like it, and just like come in and crash the party. So maybe that's what it is. Or maybe when Classic Tetris News, we could buy out Classic Tetris News and do like a news clip. Us two. Oh man! But anyway, it's been I think this format has some viability. I'm glad that you decided to test it, and I'm super honored that you decided to test it with me. So, very much looking forward to it, and I have no idea if this is going to do numbers for you. I hope it does. So,
thank you.
To the moon, PDP to the moon. Somebody sign this guy. Get the live podcast. I know I'm talking to the microphone, right? Get this guy, right? Sign this guy. Get him to your events. Have some live PDP. That's what I want to see. Like a headline, Sir Mazer, right? Sir Mazer featuring Sir Mazer, right? Nice. Yeah, that should be happening. Featuring the Peace Dependency Podcast, brought to you by Sir Mazer.
Exactly.
Right? That's what needs to happen. Yeah.
Nice.
And with that all being said, this will be the end of the Peace Dependency Podcast. Thank you all for listening, and make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to join the Tetris Friendly's Discord server and follow me on the socials at Sir Mazer. For now, have a great Tetris month, and I will see you all in May. Bye. The Peace Dependency Podcast was brought to you by Total Red NES. Shop your Goofy Food Controller TWO merch and CTWC approved hardware on TotalRedNES.com.